I was being cheap and rented a haunted house. The first night I moved in, the shower turned on by itself. I roared at the air. Are you paying the water bill? The water flow stopped instantly. I thought this was just the beginning, but I didn't expect that the next day I would see 3 dishes on the dining table. Beside the soup, there was also a note. Meal fee, $25. My brain calculated rapidly. 3 dishes and a soup with both meat and vegetables. Looking excellent. A meal like this at a restaurant outside would be at least $50. Splitting it is only $25. It's so damn worth it. I picked up the chopsticks and grabbed a piece of shiny braised pork. Putting it in my mouth. It was so delicious I almost swallowed my tongue. While devouring the food, I mumbled complaints to the air. I said, Mr. Ghost, you're way too petty. You're already dead. Yet you're still nitpicking over every cent. Can't you be a bit more generous? The air was silent. There was only the sound of my chewing. After eating, I let out a satisfied burp. Looking at the greasy dishes, my laziness kicked in. I tentatively piled the dishes in the sink without washing them, just to test this roommate's bottom line. Early the next morning, I was woken by the slight clinking of pots and pans. I tiptoed to the kitchen door and saw the dishes in the sink washed, sparkling clean, stacked neatly. Beside them was another note. This time it wasn't bloodstains, but a regular black pen. Dishwashing fee, per time. 5 yuan settled at the end of the month. I chuckled. It's actually great. I've lived for over 20 years, and it's my first time seeing such a principled ghost. My competitiveness was completely ignited. Let's have a showdown. Bring it on. I intentionally placed a full trash bag at the door, blocking half the path. Throw it out if you can. Unexpectedly, the trash bag vanished the next day, and a sticky note was on the door. Errand fee, 10 yuan. I came back half dead from working late at night, trying to turn on the light in the dark. Suddenly, the living room light turned on by itself. The light was soft and not blinding. A corner of my heart suddenly softened. Then, a note drifted down from the lampshade. Light left on for you, electricity billed separately. The newly risen warmth was instantly shattered by the words billed separately. I rolled my eyes at the ceiling. Days passed in this ridiculous showdown. Day by day, I gradually figured out my ghost roommate's temper. His name is Luyo Ryan. Has a germaphobe. If I throw underwear on the floor, the underwear will jump into the wash by itself. He also has OCD. If even one book on my shelf isn't sorted by height, it will definitely be arranged neatly the next day. His cooking is superb, but extremely. If I complain once about the food cost, he'll make me plain boiled tofu for 3 days straight. Hez also sharp-tongued. I bought a discounted shirt and tried it on in front of the mirror. Words formed by condensation slowly appeared on the mirror. Aesthetic. Concerning taste concerning. Wallet even more concerning. I was hopping mad, yelling at the air. Is it any of your business? You stingy ghost who insists on splitting bills even when dead. Then the words on the mirror would change to, likewise. I began to get accustomed to his presence, even enjoying it a bit. At least I haven't eaten instant noodles again. At least in this cold big city, there's someone who leaves a light on for me, even though that light costs money. This day, my only brother Jibu came to see me. I gave Lu Ruyan a heads up in advance. My brother is coming. He is timid. Behave yourself today, do you hear me? A magazine floated up from the table. On it were the 2 huge letters OK. The next day, as soon as Jibu walked in, he sniffed exaggeratedly. Damn, you've struck it rich. Hired a nanny? This house is so clean it doesn't look like where you live. Your habits have improved. Just as he finished speaking, the TV playing a gunfight movie suddenly jumped to the finance channel. Jibu Chang was immediately startled into a shiver. Where's the remote? Why did the channel change suddenly? Maybe a bad connection? I changed the channel back without batting an eye. While we were chatting, the cup in front of Jibu Chang slid 5 centimeters toward the table edge. Holy shit, what? Get out, the cup moved by itself. I calmly moved the cup back. Don't be afraid, my roommate is a bit mischievous. But the cooking is good. Jibu Shang looked at me in horror. That look was like he was seeing a mental patient. I see. Are you under too much pressure? Having hallucinations? I sighed, knowing this couldn't be explained. After seeing off the shell-shocked Jibu Chang, I sat on the sofa feeling a bit lost. At this moment, the living room lights dimmed a bit, becoming softer. I turned my head to look at that huge, floor-to-ceiling window. A tall silhouette in a red dress appeared clearly before my eyes for the first time. She was still translucent like a mass of walking mist, but I could see her shoulder-length hair clearly. She was meticulously wiping what I this morning hadn't wiped clean, the window. The movement was focused and serious, with an almost obsessive elegance. I suddenly felt that my brother's worries and the world's misunderstanding no longer mattered. In this vast city, I finally had a home and a very unique family member, but the good times didn't last. The chill of capitalism still blew onto me, a lowly worker. A cold email and a few lines of heartless official rhetoric ended the meager salary from my 2-hour daily commute. Holding only towards me walking on the crowded street, feeling like a piece of discarded trash for the first time. Returning home, I covered my head with the quilt. The long-suppressed grievances and anxieties finally burst at this moment, not knowing how long I cried. In the living room, melodious classical music vaguely drifted in. It was my favorite Devo walks from the New World. I had once said to the air while eating, "This piece is beautiful." Feeling like I could get through even the toughest days, I sniffed, my nose dragging heavy steps out of the room. A plate of steaming cola chicken wings was on the dining table. Beside it, a note was lying quietly, with only 2 words on it. Free of charge. Finally, my tears fell uncontrollably. Not because of grievance, but because of warmth. For the first time, I said seriously to the air, "Thank you, Loroyan." There seemed to be a very light sigh in the air. After eating my fill, I opened the computer and started frantically sending out resumes. All the resumes I sent out vanished like stones in the sea. Occasionally there were a few interviews, but I was filtered out at the end. Watching the balance in my bank card decrease every day, anxiety gnawing at my nerves. I started to suffer from insomnia night after night. Finally, I received an interview notice from a company I dreamed of. Then, I dug out the only suit I had tucked away at the bottom of my trunk. On the day of the interview, I got up very early, because of being overly nervous. While buying breakfast at the coffee shop downstairs, my hand shook and a cup of scalding Americano spilled entirely onto my shirt. At that moment, I felt like the sky was falling. I ran home in a mess. I even felt like wanting to die. Only 1 hour left before the interview. I didn't have time to buy a new one at all. Am I going to give up just like this? Just then, I heard the slight roar of the washing machine starting from the bathroom. I was stunned. I rushed over and saw that the coffee-stained shirt was being washed, tumbling in the washing machine. 20 minutes later, the washing machine stopped and the drying function started. Another 20 minutes passed. A clean and warm shirt with a faint fragrance, was hung on my bedroom door by an invisible hanger. I stared blankly at that brand new shirt, feeling like I was dreaming. I changed my clothes and rushed out of the house. It was the morning rush hour on the way to the subway station. Watching time pass second by second, I was sweating profusely with anxiety. Just as I was about to turn around and squeeze onto a bus, the subway turnstile in front of me suddenly. With a beep, the green light came on. The gate opened automatically. I didn't have time to think. I dashed through with one stride, rushed onto the platform. The doors of the subway train I needed to take were slowly closing. It's over, my heart sank. At the very moment the doors were about to close, something seemed to be stuck in the door gap, emitting a piercing alarm, and bounced open again. I scrambled and squeezed onto the train. On the train, I was gasping for air. My heart was pounding. All of this was too coincidental. So coincidental it felt like someone was clearing the path for me. I arrived at the company 5 minutes before the interview started. Sitting in the meeting room, every second waiting for the interviewers was an ordeal. After a long time, it was finally my turn. I took a deep breath and walked into the room. 4 interviewers were lined up, with serious expressions, so nervous that my palms were sweating. The self-introduction I had prepared went blank as it reached my lips. My brain froze, just as I was so embarrassed that I wanted to find a hole to crawl into. A black sign pen on the table suddenly rolled to my hand. I subconsciously gripped the pen. The cold touch made me calm down instantly. I looked down. On the pen, 2 tiny but clear words were carved with a knife. Stay steady. My heart settled down instantly. Those 2 words were like a shot of adrenaline injected into my body. Good afternoon, interviewers. My name is Len Bei. In that interview, I performed like never before. Well, a week later, I successfully received the job offer from that company. On the day I started the job, the first thing I did was rush into the supermarket to buy a bottle of good wine and many fresh ingredients. Returning home, I cooked a big table of food. Then I filled 2 glasses with wine. Lifted one of them. Liu Ruoyan, thank you for this glass of wine. My gold medal support. The other wine glass shook slightly, making a crisp clinking sound like it was responding to me. I smiled, but my eyes grew moist. I knew I wasn't alone. I have an invisible guardian angel. My cohabitation life with Liu Ruoyan, after getting the new offer, entered an unprecedented harmony. I was responsible for earning money to support the family. She was responsible for keeping the house in order, and incidentally used her management logic to supervise my spending and plan my finances. I even started to enjoy this unique companionship. Every day coming home from work to hot meals. Every month when I get paid, there's a finance director helping me with the budget. Every time I encountered a work problem, some relevant books and materials would mysteriously appear on the desk. She was like a silent mentor, an all-powerful housekeeper, a most familiar stranger. But I knew nothing about her past. As the chemistry between us grew, my curiosity also grew stronger. How exactly did Liu Ruoyan die? That vague report online said she died of accidental gas poisoning, but I always felt something was wrong. I tried asking her, Liu Ruoyan, how exactly did you die? The lights in the room flickered. She seemed to want to express something, but was trapped by some force. Unable to convey information clearly, the more intense her reaction, the more I suspected. Finally, I decided to start with this house. I found the real estate agent, Mu Yulu, who originally rented the house to me. I asked to meet him at a nearby restaurant, on the pretext of consulting about the lease renewal. Mu Yulu still had that warm and kind look. Mr. Lin, are you used to living there? That house is in a good location. The layout is also good. It's just that something happened before. Ordinary people can't handle it. I see you look so healthy. So I know you must be fine. It's fine, I'm just a bit curious. What exactly happened in this house before? I checked online, and there was only a very vague news report, saying the owner died accidentally. It's all in the past. Just an accident. Young man, don't think too much. Just live there in peace. That house actually has good feng shui. Look, you haven't lived there long, and you've already changed to a better job. Your luck is turning. He skillfully diverted the topic, in his words. He kept advising me not to think too much. His enthusiasm seemed to me to have an uncoordinated weirdness. A normal agent would only care about rent and contracts. Why is he so concerned about my mental health? And repeatedly stopping me from learning about the house's past. After some pleasantries, I waved goodbye to Mu Yulu. But this meeting not only failed to dispel my doubts, but instead made my vigilance reach the highest level. That night, I had a dream that made me feel terrified. In the dream, I was standing in a thick white mist, unable to see the surroundings clearly. I heard a familiar yet strange voice arguing intensely. It's Leroux, I treated you as a friend. How could you touch this money? You're crazy. Ruye, help me one more time. One last time. I promise to fill the hole. Impossible. This is the client's money. You are committing a crime. Then you're trying to drive me to death. The arguing became more and more intense. Finally, I heard a heavy thud and something. The sound of falling to the ground. Then everything fell silent. I woke up with a start from the dream. My heart was racing wildly. My back was freezing cold. That dream was too real. Mu Yulu, Liu Ruyan called out this name in the dream. Turned on the light and found the study door ajar. I clearly remember closing it before bed. I walked in and saw the locked drawer at the bottom of the desk. Now it was actually open. Inside lay a black leather diary quietly. My heart skipped a beat. Is Liu Ruyan guiding me? I opened the diary with trembling hands. Most of the diary's content was about financial investments and daily trivia. I flipped through it quickly. Finally, in the latter part of the diary, I found a frequently appearing name, Mu Yulu. The diary recorded that Liu Ruyan and her business partner collaborated on an investment project. Later she discovered that Mu Yulu, behind her back, embezzled a large sum of money to speculate on high-risk cryptocurrencies. As a result, it was all lost, leaving a huge financial hole. Liu Ruyan wrote in the diary, I can't believe Mu Yulu would do such a thing. The newcomer back then is worthless in the face of greed. I must make him responsible for his actions, no matter the consequences. This was her last diary entry. Mu Yulu, my blood ran cold instantly. I took the diary back to the living room, asked the air with a trembling voice. Liu Ruyan was the person who killed you, Mu Yulu? As soon as the words were spoken, the temperature in the whole room dropped suddenly. The crystal chandelier overhead began to shake violently. The clock on the wall fell to the floor, making a piercing, shattering sound. It was her strongest reaction I had ever seen. But this reaction confirmed all my suspicions. Liu Ruyan didn't die by accident, but was murdered. And that killer who is still at large is that real estate agent who smiled at me so kindly? Mu Yulu, the truth is like an ice-tipped dagger, piercing the facade of my peaceful life. I looked at this home kept spotless by Liu Ruyan, felt a bone-chilling cold for the first time. I cannot just sit by and watch. Lin Bei, you can't let Lu Ruyan go. Don't worry, I will help you send him where he belongs. The lights in the room stopped flickering. Returning to a warm tone, I took a deep breath and started making a plan. I need evidence. The diary is an important clue, but not enough for a conviction. I need to make Mu Yulu reveal himself. I have. Interested in investment and financial management. Using the excuse of wanting to consult an expert, contacted Mu Yulu again. This time I arranged to meet him at a noisy outdoor cafe and turned on my phone's recording function in advance. Brother Lin is really looking good. Just started thinking about financial management right after changing jobs. Can't help it. I'm afraid of being poor. Mainly because of Sister Mu. You have good vision. Recommended such a good house to me. Changing my luck. Speaking of which, I'm still very curious. The original owner of this house. Miss, I heard she was also a financial elite in life. Did she also do investments? I stared closely into Mu Yulu's eyes. When I mentioned the name Lu Ruyan, her pupils constricted imperceptibly. Yes. Miss Liu was a phoenix among people. What a pity. Heaven is jealous of great talent. I recently found some diaries and notes he left at home. I can't understand many of the professional terms inside. Sister Mu, you are close to him. Can you help me take a look? I appropriately threw out the bait. Mu Yulu's expression finally had a slight change. Her hand holding the coffee trembled a bit. Diaries? Oh? Other people's personal belongings. It's better if we don't look through them randomly. Little brother Lin, you haven't encountered anything strange living in that house, right? Strange things? Like what? Like hearing noises at night? Or things moving on their own? Her voice was kept very low. Her eyes carried a hint of scrutiny. My heart sank. She was testing me. Testing whether I actually knew about Liu Ruyan's existence. No, I've been sleeping very well. Maybe it's because my body is strong. During that meal, we were both testing each other. But no one got the answer they wanted. From that day on, I felt like I was being watched by a pair of invisible eyes. On the way home from work, I always felt footsteps behind me, neither close nor far. But when I turned around, there was nothing. The supernatural events at home also started to become unfriendly. It was no longer orderly housework and keeping a light on. In the middle of the night, the sound of sharpening a knife would come from the living room. One stroke after another. It was especially terrifying in the silent night. A bright red, bloody handprint would suddenly appear on the bathroom mirror, as if someone had just struggled to crawl out from inside. I knew this wasn't Lu Ruyan doing. Li Ruyan's supernatural presence had a sense of order and an awkward tenderness. But these were filled with pure malice and intimidation. It was Mu Yulu. She might have used some method or found someone to deliberately play ghost, trying to scare me away. She's scared. She's afraid I'll find something I shouldn't in Lu Ruyan's belongings. One late night, I was startled awake by a nightmare, and saw a thin layer of mist condensed on the bedroom window. On the mist, a few words were slowly forming. It was Lu Ruyan. She used all her strength to write 3 words on it. Danger, leave. Her handwriting was no longer as strong as before, but had become crooked, as if it would dissipate at any moment. My heart tightened painfully. She was protecting me, even though she herself was trapped here. Her first thought was still to have me leave this dangerous whirlpool. I walked to the window, wiped away those 3 words with my hand, and said softly but firmly to the cold glass, "I'm not leaving. This is our home. The ones who should leave are the others." The next day, I took a day off and stayed home. I bought several miniature cameras online disguised as charging heads and ornaments. One facing the front door, one placed in a corner of the living room, and another hidden on the bookshelf in the study. 3 days after the cameras were installed, Mu Yulu's call came. "Little brother Lee, are you home? The gas company is doing area safety inspections recently. As the agent, I need to cooperate with them to come and check the pipeline situation on your end. See when it's convenient for you." What a great excuse, checking the gas pipes. It allows her to enter the house openly, the room, and also set the stage for her next plan. I suppressed the disgust in my heart. "Sure, I happen to be home today. You can come over any time." I hung up the phone. I immediately left a message for Lu Ruyan. I wrote on a sticky note, "She's coming. Act according to the situation later." After writing, I put the note in the most conspicuous spot in the living room. Half an hour later, the doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw shower gel. I opened the door and pretended to warmly welcome him in. "Sister Mu, sorry to trouble you." "No trouble at all, no trouble. It's for the resident's safety after all." From the moment he stepped into the room, his gaze never stopped. He was like a venomous snake scanning for food. The living room, the dining room, the balcony, and finally, his gaze landed on the tightly closed door of the study. He walked toward the kitchen. I followed behind. He made a pretense of tapping around the gas stove and the water heater, but his mind wasn't on it at all. Just then, a dining chair by his feet suddenly slid back half a meter. Shower gel turned around, his face turning pale. But the living room was empty. "What's wrong? Sister Mu?" "Nothing. Maybe I'm seeing things." He forced himself to stay calm, but a layer of fine cold sweat broke out on his forehead. This further confirmed his guilty conscience. A person with nothing to hide. How could they be so scared by a moving chair? "You'll go to the bathroom for a moment." Through the corner of the living room, I stared intently at his movements via a mirror's reflection. He took 2 steps, but suddenly changed direction, creeping stealthily toward the study. His coming. His target is Lu Ruyan's belongings in the study. My heart leaped into my throat. Just at the moment his phone was about to touch the study door handle. Bang! The bathroom light bulb suddenly shattered. Immediately after, the sink faucet, the shower head, the toilet tank, every place that could discharge water, did not open automatically at the same time. Shower gel let out a shrill scream. He scrambled away from the study door. I immediately rushed over, pretending to be even more panicked than him. "What happened?" "Sister Mo, that house. Over there in the bathroom. Sigh, it's often like this. You'll get used to it. Maybe the wiring is just old." Shower gel looked at the messy bathroom, then at the eerily quiet living room. "That brother Lin. I see there's nothing wrong with the pipes. No. The company has some business. It'll be leaving first." He rushed to the door almost as if fleeing. He scrambled to put on his shoes. As he pulled open the door and turned to leave, he looked back at me. That look no longer had any disguise. It was cold and filled with undisguised murderous intent. My heart shuddered, but I didn't flinch, calmly meeting his gaze. The door closed with a bang. Leaning against the door, I let out a long breath. My legs went weak, and I almost collapsed to the floor. The sticky note in the living room that said, "Improvise," silently drifted to the ground. I walked over and picked it up. I won the first round. I immediately opened my phone to check the camera playback. The video clearly recorded shower gel sneaking toward the study, as well as that final look full of murderous intent. There was one more piece of evidence, but I knew the failure of this test would only make him more insane. Next time he won't have any disguise. The storm is coming faster than I imagined. After Shower Gel's probe failed, he completely tore off his mask of hypocrisy. He knew this house was haunted. He decided to use this to his advantage. He was going to repeat his old tricks. He wanted me to die in a carefully orchestrated accidental gas poisoning too. At 2 a.m., I was woken up by a heavy thud in the living room. The sound was like someone climbing in from the balcony. The noise of landing was him, Shower Gel. I held my breath, quietly crawled out of bed, hid behind the bedroom door, peering out through the crack in the door. A dark shadow was moving slowly in the living room. He was holding a toolkit in his hand, heading straight for the kitchen. His heart was racing, almost jumping out of his throat. I forced myself to stay calm. I reached for the phone on the nightstand, turned the screen brightness to the lowest. Fingers trembling, I dialed 110. The moment the call connected, I didn't make a sound. Aimed the receiver toward the living room. This was a survival tip I had seen before. Reporting to the police silently. The operator will assume you are in danger and track the signal location. After doing all this, I immediately opened the camera app and started the live stream. Then the live stream link, with a preset SOS message, was sent with one click to my buddy Jabo Chang. If something happens to me, this is the evidence. Don't call the police. Wait for them to contact you after sending the message. I gripped the phone tightly, hiding behind the door, not daring to move an inch. In the living room, Shower Gel had already walked to the kitchen door. He was going in to tamper with things. At the moment he pushed open the kitchen door, a sudden change occurred. A loud bang. The kitchen door slammed shut in front of him. Shower Gel was startled by the sudden turn of events. Then he realized what happened and began to smash the door frantically. Open the door for me. Oh, you. Through the crack in the door, I saw in the air of the living room, a translucent figure was fluctuating violently. Liu Ruoyan. Her figure was dimmer than ever before, like a wisp of light smoke about to be blown away by the wind. I could feel that just closing and locking that door, had already exhausted most of her strength. She was using her existence to buy me time. Shower Gel couldn't smash the door open, so he started kicking the old wooden door, which groaned under the strain. Ru's figure became more transparent with every impact. I saw her once clear outline begin to blur and dissipate. My heart felt like it was being gripped hard by an invisible hand, hurting so much I couldn't breathe. I can't hide anymore. I can't just stand by and watch her soul scatter while trying to protect me. A surge of courage from out of nowhere instantly washed away all fear. I looked around. My eyes fell on the frying pan in the corner that I used for fitness. I rushed over and grabbed that heavy frying pan, gripped it tightly with both hands. Just then, with a loud crash, the kitchen door was kicked open by Shower Gel. He was like an infuriated beast, rushing out with bloodshot eyes. He saw me, saw the frying pan in my hand. Bastard. Still want to resist? Today, both of you must die. He lunged at me with a knife. I didn't back down. Instead, I charged at him. Using all my strength, I took the frying pan in my hand and slammed it hard against his head. With a dull thud, Shower Gel fell to the ground. At the same time, in the corner of my eye, the last faint silhouette of Liu Ruoyan completely turned into bits of starlight and dissipated into the air. It's time, she really left. A slip of paper drifted through the air and landed at my feet. It was a familiar bloodstain, yet it carried a hint of tenderness never felt before. Protection fee, 1 life. This time it's on me. My strength was instantly drained. The frying pan slipped from my hand, making a loud clanging sound. I collapsed to my knees, looking at that blood-colored bill. Tears gushed out, but I couldn't make a sound. The sound of sirens approached from afar. I was saved, but my world was also empty. The police arrived in time to arrest the unconscious Shower Gel. I was treated as the hero who defeated the criminal, wrapped in a blanket, and taken to the police station. My phone recording, the cameras at home, the video and the live stream link I sent to Jabo Chang became ironclad evidence pinning Shower Gel to the pillar of guilt. Facing the gentle female officer in the interrogation room, I told her everything that happened. Of course I omitted the existence of Liu Ruoyan. I only said that after I rented this apartment, I always felt the home had some warning functions. For example, when there was danger, lights would flicker, things would fall. This time too, the kitchen door suddenly closed on its own. Buy me time to call the police and fight back. Maybe the previous owner's spirit was watching over and protecting me. The female officer didn't press further. She just patted my hand sympathetically. With these clues, the police quickly found a breakthrough from Shower Gel. His phone calls, records, bank statements, and transactions with underground casinos all pointed clearly to a fact. Years ago, because he failed in stock trading, he not only embezzled from a client, namely Liu Ruoyan, massive funds, and incurred huge gambling debts. After being discovered by Yuan and asked to surrender, he was driven to a corner and committed murder. First, during an argument with Liu Ruoyan, he knocked her unconscious with a heavy object. Then he faked a gas leak scene, creating a perfect accidental death. For all these years, he had always been in real estate, monitoring this house as an agent, fearful that a tenant might find some clues. When he sensed I might have developed some connection with Liu Ruoyan, he developed murderous intent, attempting to use the same method to make me a new secret in this house. A few days later, major news media reported on this case buried for years. The news of the murder case being unexpectedly solved. Liu Ruoyan's name was finally no longer linked with accidental death. Such ridiculous words. Her grievance was finally redressed. I sat in the taxi watching the news on my phone and let out a long breath. Relieved, but more than that, empty. I went back to that house. Back to the place she and I called home. Opening the door, it was clean and tidy inside. Sunlight through the spotless French windows poured in. Everything was exactly as it was when I left. Traces of her existence were everywhere. Neatly stacked books, spotless floors, clearly categorized seasoning bottles in the kitchen. But I know he's gone. There will never be again. I am the non-AA bloody note. No more warm flowing lights with electricity bills calculated separately. No more that blurred figure wearing a red dress, ironing clothes for me in the middle of the night. For the first time, I felt such a massive suffocating loneliness and sadness. Walked to the sofa, hugged the cushion he sat on most often, buried my face deep into it, finally burst into tears. Tired from crying, I started tidying the room. I thought he loved cleanliness so much. I can't leave this place in a mess. While tidying the study, I found another under that diary. Black ledger, the ledger between him and me. On it, entry by entry, May the 10th dinner, AA Lin Bei owes 25 yuan. May the 12th, washing dishes, Lin Bei owes 5 yuan. May the 15th, taking out trash, Lin Bei owes 10 yuan, I flipped through page by page, smiling and crying. This stingy guy, flipping to the last page. I thought it would be a total amount owed. But it wasn't a bill, but a line of words. A line written in black pen, still elegant, but with a tenderness I never noticed. Lin Bei, live a good life. Eat on time. 5 years. My defenses completely collapsed the moment I saw this line. I squatted on the floor clutching that ledger, crying like a child abandoned by the whole world. Sister absolutely cannot. Life returned to so-called normalcy. I continued to work at that dream company. Every day in an office cubicle, playing an emotionally stable adult. No one knows what kind of life and death catastrophe I went through. And no one knows what an important person I lost. Didn't move. Jibu-chan advised me several times. He said this place was too sad. I should change the environment. Start over. I refused. I said, this is my home. I began to unconsciously follow the rules between Lu Royan and me. After eating, I would immediately wash the dishes clean, wipe off the water, and put them back in the cupboard. When the trash bag is full, I would throw it away immediately. Never let it stay at the door overnight. I started learning to cook, although it tasted terrible. But I would insist on making meals for 2. I would place the other portion on the empty seat opposite. Then I would ramble to the air about the things I encountered at the company today, the weird clients I met, the project bonuses I got. I knew there would be no more response. No more handwriting marking my taste would appear on, and no more classical music would play when I'm sad. But I still stubbornly kept these habits. As if this way he had never left. I started working desperately hard. Harder than ever before. Won several major awards. Got promoted, a raise, and my career was flourishing. Colleagues said I seemed like a different person. Feeling like a tireless machine. Only I knew. I wanted him to see. I wanted him to know I really am living a good life. I used the first generous project bonus to go to the suburban cemetery. I found Lu Ruyen's grave. She in the photo was younger than I imagined. Wearing a red dress. With delicate features. With a faint, lingering smile. She was a very beautiful woman. I laid a bunch of white chrysanthemums before the grave. Then I took a bill printed on A4 paper out of my bag. And lit it in the brazier. It said rent on it. Utilities, security fees. Mental anguish fees. Totaling a lifetime. Liu Ruoyan has settled them all. Repay my love in the next life, the firelight reflected on my face. I smiled, but my tears fell. After doing all this, I thought the story between her and me had come to an end. Until that day, I worked late into the night because of an urgent project. Dragging my exhausted body, I opened the door to my home. It was pitch black. Habitually, I reached for the switch on the wall. Click, in the living room. The floor lamp lit up. Warm, soft light. I was stunned. My gaze slowly moved to the dining table in the living room. On the table sat a steaming cup of milk. White steam curled up under the light. My mind went blank. I stood like a statue in the entryway. Not daring to move, not even daring to breathe. Everything before me was so familiar, yet so unreal. Is it a hallucination? After being silent for a long time, my heart began to beat violently again. I tentatively called out in a voice that was almost a whisper. Ruoyan? Liu Ruoyan. The living room was terrifyingly quiet. Only that cup of milk was still tirelessly steaming. I lowered my eyes in disappointment. I was overthinking it after all. I gave a self-deprecating laugh. Just as I was about to change my shoes. Right then, I saw the mill. K, next to the sticky note I used to leave a message for her. Something seemed to be slowly emerging. I held my breath, staring intently at that small yellow piece of paper. A line of familiar handwriting in black pen. 1. Word by word, it clearly appeared. Lamp fee, 5 yuan. Milk fee, 15 yuan. Settle at the end of the month. My tears burst the moment I saw settle at the end of the month. I couldn't help but cry and laugh at the same time. Liu Ruoyan, you stingy person. You iron hen. Under the light, the figure I had been thinking of day and night briefly condensed into shape. It was clearer than ever before. Although it was still translucent, I could clearly see her wearing a red dress, with a familiar doting smile on her face. She didn't speak, but her eyes said it all. It turned out that the life-risking protection that day hadn't made her soul dissipate. It had only exhausted all of her strength, putting her into a state similar to sleep. It was my longing for her. It was my living well day after day. It was my stubborn preservation of the home's integrity. These strong thoughts, like a steady stream of energy, woke her up from her sleep bit by bit. Why won't you leave? Your resentment has been cleared. You can go where you're supposed to go now. She didn't answer directly. Her figure drifted to the shoe cabinet. Pointing to the cabinet door, I walked over in confusion and opened the shoe cabinet. Next to my pile of sneakers and canvas shoes lay a pair of brand new women's slippers I had never seen before. It was when I was grocery shopping last time that I bought it on a whim. At that time, I didn't know why I bought it either. I just felt this home should have a pair of slippers like this. Life seems to have returned to the starting point. But everything is completely different again. I looked at his helpless smiling face and started laughing along with him. Yeah, why leave anymore? This place is his home. And I am his family too. Sunlight spills in through the window, lighting up the dust motes dancing in the room, and also lighting up two souls leaning on each other. We will continue as each other's most special family, writing our cohabitation story in this bustling city. And of course that sweet ledger that can never be fully settled.